today we're going to look at immunity. So immunity, we learned about what the immune system does, right? Essentially, when we use the word immunity, we are talking about a special protection from disease, okay? Now, this can happen several ways. I referenced it in the last video that you watched. And just a reminder, the PowerPoints are on RenWeb, so if you need to go back and double check your answers for your notes, you can do that there. But there's a couple ways that you can get immunity. And the main one we're going to talk about is as a result from you actually having the disease. Okay. And I talked about that, how if you have a particular strand of the flu, and then if you were to get that strand of flu again, your body would know how to fight it. Like the chicken pox. I had chicken pox as a kid. And I know there's vaccines for that now, which we're going to talk about in a second. But if I were to get chicken pox again, my body would know exactly how to fight it. And I wouldn't even realize I had chicken pox because my body would just know exactly how to fight it. Okay, so there's two ways that your body can do this. One is the fact that your body has antibodies. These are those special proteins I was talking about that destroy the disease if it ever tries to enter again. So your body, now that I've had chickenpox, my body has the antibody for chickenpox. And so that would, if I got it again, those antibodies would go straight to work. It also has memory cells. Your body has memory cells, and essentially those cells remember those pathogens and know specifically what antibodies to send to it. So those two things work together to help you to fight those diseases. There are a couple of other things that can happen. One is they're both types of immunity, active and passive immunity. So active immunity includes your antibodies, which we talked about already, and it also includes vaccines. Now, some of you, probably the majority of you, your parents got you vaccinated as kids. And so if you remember going to the doctor, you got a little shot in the arm, it hurt for a little bit, maybe it got red and swollen, maybe you felt a little crummy for a little bit, but essentially it went away. Now, those vaccines that you were getting, they have dead or weakened pathogens inside of them. And so when you are putting them into your body, all of a sudden your body figures out, oh, I need to figure out how to fight this. And so your body creates the antibodies and memory cells it needs to fight that. So if you were to ever get, like for instance, mumps is one of them. If you've been vaccinated against mumps, if you were ever exposed, you would be protected from it because your body already knows how to fight it because you got a little tiny bit of the dead or weakened cells way back when you were a kid, okay? Now, some vaccines are for life. Measles is an example of that. Some are not. Some require booster shots, and so you have to go back multiple times within a certain time frame to get it. So like I think tetanus, for example, if you ever stand on a rusty nail, every 10 years you need to get your tetanus shot so that it will help to boost those antibodies again for you in your body, and it will help to protect you, okay? There's also what we call temporary immunity not temporary, passive immunity. And passive immunity is a temporary protection against diseases. So we see this in babies. When babies are born, they have been connected to their mother. And so they have a lot of their mother's protection because they've been in close contact, like living inside of their mother, okay? And then if the mother nurses, then they're also continuing that, and the baby gets that special protection from their mother's immune system. Now, it doesn't last forever. At some point, the baby moves on from that, and it's just their own immune system that they have to deal with. Another protection that you can get is what we call an antibiotic. Now, antibiotics are chemicals made by microorganisms, okay? The first one was discovered by a Canadian, his name's Alexander Fleming, and it was actually quite by accident. He had a vial that he was growing bacteria in, and he noticed that there was mold that grew on the top of it. And then that mold actually fought off the bacteria. And so the part that did the fighting is penicillin. Now, some of you might actually be allergic to penicillin. We'll talk about allergies in a second. But penicillin, it was the first antibiotic that was discovered. And from then, we have been able to create more antibiotics. Some of them are man-made from a lab, and some of them we have derived from nature, from microorganisms, like I've said, okay? The thing with antibiotics is they only work on bacterial infections and some fungal infections. And so if you get a virus, you kind of have to ride the storm. There isn't an antibiotic that you can take if you get a virus. So if you get the flu, you're not taking antibiotics, okay? And you got to be careful with antibiotics anyways, because they essentially destroy bacteria, but they also destroy some of the good bacteria that's in your body. And so it's always good to have a probiotic to take alongside of your antibiotic to help your body readjust and get back those bacterial good bacteria that you need. Okay. What's next? Let's talk about when your immune system malfunctions and it doesn't do what it's supposed to do. So we're going to talk about 3 different areas where that can happen. The first is an allergy. Okay. Some of you may have allergies, and so you know what this is like. So if you have allergies, then there is a particular allergen, which is a substance that causes an allergic reaction in your body. Okay. It could be cats or dogs or nuts or dust. There's all sorts of different allergens that can affect you. But essentially what happens is your body has this autoimmune reaction to it, and your body thinks that that dust or that pollen is a foreign substance, and so it starts to attack it. So you might get a runny nose or itchy. Some allergens are actually deadly too. So you have to be really careful with allergies. Another thing that you have to be careful with is blood transfusions. Inside of each of you is obviously blood, but your blood is not necessarily the same as the next person's blood. And so if you need a blood transfusion where you've lost a lot of blood and you need to gain some more blood in a quick amount of time, or let's say you have an organ that needs to be transplanted, like you need a heart transplant, you need to have someone with matching blood and matching tissues who you can get that from. You can't just go to, hey, my brother over here, he'll give me some of his blood. Well, his blood may not match your blood, okay? And so a blood transfusion is when you transfer blood from one person to another, and you have to be careful with that, because if it's the wrong type of blood, your immune system is going to fight it, right? If a foreign substance comes into your body, your immune system goes into action. And so that can be one thing that happens if you're not careful with the type of blood you're allowing into your body. The third thing is an autoimmune disease. Autoimmune diseases are where your immune system attacks healthy cells. Multiple sclerosis, we talked about this already, that was a nervous system disorder, but it's actually an autoimmune disorder as well, okay? Your body is attacking cells, nervous cells in your brain that are healthy. It's just your body is malfunctioning in that particular instance. Some people are born with not much of an immune system, and so they have to be quarantined from. I have a friend whose son had to be quarantined from birth because he had a very, very weakened immune system from an autoimmune disease that he had. And they were able to work through some things, and now he can get out. Obviously can't anymore because of COVID, but sometimes there are things you can do to help bring people back from that. Another one is arthritis, right? That's an autoimmune disease where it attacks your joints. And then there are lots more that we're going to look at in a little bit, but those are essentially the main ones that I want you to take away. Okay. So activity manual page 247, 248 is your homework. It's a study guide. I want you to fill it out, send it in to me after we Zoom, or if you think you've got it, you can send it in before that. But if there's questions, then log into our Zoom. And then there'll be a quiz on this after our Zoom day. Okay. So you guys are doing a great job. Keep up the good work. I miss you so much. I wish we were doing this in class. It would be so much more fun. But I'm proud of you guys for working hard and not giving up. So keep up the good work. Love you guys.